Everything's turning up, Craig.
Yeah.
All the time.
Everything's turning up, Craig. Even turnips. I have a pet turnip at home, and I named him Craig. And I wrote the word Craig on the turnip, and oh geez, my phone is beeping. And when I throw the turnip, it turns up Craig. Yeah. So everything's turning up, Craig.
Ladies and gentlemen, boils and ghouls.
Children.
Welcome. Children. I think I might just start saying that from now on. Children. Welcome to another episode of The Whole Ball of Wax. I have here with me a friend of mine.
Who?
It's you.
Oh, me.
It's Craig Benzine.
Hello, my name is Craig Benzine.
Who also on the internet is known as WheezyWaiter.
That's true. Or Donald.
That's true. If anybody listening watches Platoon of Power Squadron,
Yeah.
and if you don't, you should, because it's an excellent time.
Actually, I don't think Donald has a last name. I don't know if it was ever revealed if he did.
Duck.
Maybe it was revealed, actually. I don't remember it. Duck would be great.
Yeah, Duck would be solid.
Yeah.
So, so just as a quick bring you up to speed to understand why one of the things that I want to talk about is relevant, particular to Craig. Again, Craig is a YouTube sensation phenomenon.
Wow, those are strong words. I'd say I'm a YouTube station. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been full-time YouTubing for a long time. Before you were full-timing it, you had made your presence online pretty strong by way of vlogging, and have since done a lot more video projects, taking part in other video projects. Now, most recently, have been doing a series called The Good Stuff.
That is true. I'm doing the good stuff. I'm doing WheezyWaiter, Platoon of Power Squadron. I have a new web series coming out in a month or two on Verizon Go 90.
Ooh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's because I haven't talked about it. Well, I have talked about it a little bit, but
are you allowed to?
I don't know, but I'm going to.
You're doing it right now.
Yeah. I seriously don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but the short film I did called Fine Tuned, which went up on my WheezyWaiter channel with a company called Newform Digital that's owned by Ron Howard, that was made with the goal in mind to make it a web series. And Newform shopped it around along with a lot of other YouTubers' short films and found people who would fund a web series for various YouTubers, and Verizon Go 90 funded mine. So I went out to LA for 10, 12 days, shot the whole thing.
Wow.
And it's 6 episodes. They're 8-minute episodes.
Nice.
Yeah. And I really, really like how it turned out.
Awesome.
I wouldn't say that if I didn't like how it turned out.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
I would expect you to maintain that integrity.
Yeah. And so that's going to come out in a few months too.
Sweet.
I don't know. I actually don't know exactly when that's coming out. I don't know a lot.
You made it, but you know nothing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Got a little Jon Snow in you.
Absolutely.
So here's my question for you.
Yeah.
I'm curious because I have some thoughts on it, but considering, and I'm going to give a quick story about this. We saw a few years back when a YouTuber by the name of Dan Dobie created a documentary called Please Subscribe.
Yes.
Which I thought was really excellent and very educational about YouTubers, and it was particular to those people. It wasn't necessarily a huge broad stroke about YouTube itself. It was not like a character focus, but it had some focus on specific people, which was great, insightful. Yeah. And I remember that day, I'm walking out when we were all talking about it, I had asked you, I was just curious thinking about it, that, something like YouTube had become in this mode a thing for sort of not entirely one way, but largely one way social experience that is vlogging or small video project making or whatever, that it had gotten so big. And that few years back, it was huge. It was insane. Just the number of people who were getting hundreds of thousands of views every single time they posted. And remember, I had asked you where you thought it was going. You said, I think it's going to boom and then it's going to drop off.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, not like deflate and not fail or something, but that it just that it would have its time.
Yeah.
And it would, that that time would pass, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, I don't remember saying that, but I guess I could see myself saying that. It did. I mean, there was a boom and a. I feel like I was talking about me personally.
Oh,
Like,
well, maybe you were. Maybe my brain might be messing that up a little bit.
I don't know, because for me that is true. I think of that. I was kind of at the peak of views anyway at the time, and it has kind of declined since then for me. But in general, I think the amount of people going to YouTube is growing.
That's true, but I think I might have, just to also be a little more specific, particular to vlogging.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, like I think what we did, I mean the style has changed for sure. Like what's popular, it's actually really hard to pin down what's popular because it's lots and lots and lots of things. But I think the trend has gone towards specific types of shows rather than like a catch-all personality. Like the appeal of someone like what I do is just sort of variety of sketch, personal stories, news stories, whatever. It's all, sometimes I'll do a list, sometimes I'll do a little bit of an educational thing. But it seems like now to be successful, you have to be doing one of those things. You have to just be doing like an educational show, a show that's lists, a show that is just gaming or something. And I think that's definitely where things have gone. And I think it's still growing. I think the growth of it may have slowed down though, because now there's like Facebook video, and all the kids are into Snapchat these days, more so I think than YouTube.
Yeah, and that's actually I can't speak for that. Like, I'm not into Snapchat. I have nothing against it. I just don't personally have this like motivation to. There you go. As he opens Snapchat, I don't personally have this really strong motivation to just share basically everything that I'm doing all the time. And I don't judge people who do it. Yeah. I'm just not in that mode. I don't have that that drive to constantly post about it.
Doing a podcast with my friend Andrew Sellers, and to the podcast listeners, I'm doing a Snapchat right now. So, hey. All right. I actually didn't say the name of the podcast though. I probably should.
You want to do it again?
I can put a text on the screen. Whoa! Oh. Okay.
All right. Well,
anyway, this is good. This is good audio.
Yeah, this is excellent. This is perfect. All this dead air.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So, so with that in mind, the way that, like you're saying, the way that things have changed and how you've had to change, you've changed what you do, not just in like overall like how many channels you're running or anything else, but I was curious because I'd say you're in that. You're pretty up there in terms of how many people watch and how many other people you've gotten to work with on other things. I'm wondering, how do you feel you have helped change how YouTube functions in respect to the sort of things that you make?
How it functions.
Or rather, not necessarily how it functions, but like how like what do you feel you've contributed to how things have changed and sort of what sort of goodness you've put out there?
I wonder like how I feel like I've brought people into YouTube early on that may have not been brought in, just because of my specific style of humor. But and I think I was one of the early people to do like kind of choose your own adventure annotation stuff, which I think others have done, but that's kind of gone away now too. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth about like my lasting legacy or what I've done. I think like certain YouTubers have that are more successful than me now were influenced by me. That they've told me. So
Wow.
like the Third Pew, Nathan Zed. His style, I think, out of anyone else, his style I think more closely resembles what I did like a few years ago. Not that he copied me or I'm angry that he's doing what he's doing. I think he's brilliant. But I think he's someone he might not be doing exactly that if it wasn't for what I did. He probably would still be successful. But Grace Helbig told me that I was like the first person she heard of on YouTube and what got her into it. Into
Nice.
YouTube. Actually, in that documentary, she said that I in Please Subscribe. She said that I was what inspired her to do it. I didn't know that until I saw the documentary.
Oh man.
Um,
Oh man, I didn't remember that. No, that's a great way to find out too.
But what I do specifically, I don't know. I feel like what's happening with YouTube now probably would have happened anyway. I just try to color it with my own weird wisdom, I guess.
I can appreciate that.
I don't know. I think I may have sped along some of the style that happened, like some of the. And most of what I do is inspired by Zay Frank, really.
Right.
Which
if you don't know who that is, look him up. He's amazing. For everybody who has seen the Dear Kitten, that's those commercials. That's Zay Frank, and that's his place in the regular mainstream world. But he's a really goofy, very smart, very cool dude.
Yeah, but what he's doing now isn't what he was doing when I was inspired by him. Not that what he's doing now isn't great, but.
He was doing projects like the World Sandwich, where he had two people on the opposite sides of the planet put a piece of bread to the ground at the same time.
And he was doing vlogging, basically, talking to a camera with fast editing, with very odd humor. Before, and it wasn't doing it on YouTube. It was like around when YouTube was starting. He was putting it up on Blip TV, which doesn't exist anymore. And and I found that, and I watched him, and I was like, huh. He's wonderful, and I'm really enjoying this, but I can do this. And so that was my attempt. That's when I attempted to do it. And the Vlogbrothers just so happened to also be inspired by him. I didn't know who the Vlogbrothers were until I started finding an audience and seeing the word Nerdfighter everywhere. And then I found the Vlogbrothers, and they helped me along early on because I think they saw a lot of their style in what I did because we were both inspired by Zay Frank.
Oh yeah.
But what we're doing is still it's still niche, and I think mainstream YouTube has become something else.
I think that's a pretty accurate statement because that's definitely like it definitely feels that way. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just about whatever your intent is. Yeah. And if it's, non-malicious and you do whatever the best thing that you're doing. If it's music videos, if it's math related videos like Vi Hart, like everything that she's ever made is stupidly amazing and really well put together. Or if it's like I said, if it's sort of like comedy sketch / sort of lifestyle-ish videos, like whatever that thing is that you can do, if you do it to the best of your ability, that's fine. Like that's that's it. It sounds weird to call out a brand, but it basically is personally. It's like a YouTube personal brand / experience of you as a person.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I say niche. I don't say niche.
Yeah, the niche.
Should I be saying niche?
No, I don't care. It's
okay.
Cool. Anything goes here.
Okay.
Everything goes here.
I'm gonna call it niche. Niche.
Well, then with that in mind,
yes.
Another question they had for you was, besides being inspired by Zay Frank and Vlogbrothers, what would you say then and now, if it has changed, is your main motivation for creating videos? Because for me, I haven't created anything in a while, but for me, it's always been sort of all over the place. Like one of the last video projects I did was a really short, like 5-minute documentary on a friend of mine who survived cancer.
Okay.
And I know it sounds like a super cliche thing to say. The most inspirational person I've ever known is my friend who survived cancer, but it really is true, at least in my experience, because she's such a great person. She was before, she was during, she has been since after, and there are a million other stories like hers out there. But I felt this need, for whatever reason, to get her story on camera and give that to people in the hopes that they would also feel inspired by her survival, by her attitude, by how she changed, and and how you can always find something good in something so terrible. And I know that's like really specific, and that's one project, but with just in that sort of mindset, yeah. What would you say your sort of motivation was when you started and now?
Um, well, I think my motivation when I started, uh, probably more selfish than that, but uh, uh, I think initially it was pretty simple. It was just I wanted to get into entertainment media because that's what I always wanted to do, and I just started putting videos up with the hopes that it would lead to a better job. I was waiting tables, and I didn't have any high aspirations for the content itself because I didn't expect it would get that large of an audience. Anyway, it was more of like a means to get a job. And now what I do, well, now I'm a little confused. Like now I've done a lot of things, and I look at, and I also look at what's already being made on YouTube now, and it's hard. It's like I don't need to do a lot because someone else is already doing it. It seems like what's the point of me making a really good list video? Like there are probably millions of them. I don't know, or there are plenty of. Well, I don't want to get too into this, but the whole gun debate that's happening now. I have been going through my head about a video that I want to make about it, which I think I could do really well, and I still might do it. But what keeps me from doing it often is I'll come across other people who have wrote blogs or made videos. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what I would do. Like that's you've already done it, you know. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't do it because it could still reach people who wouldn't see what I saw.
That's true, and the idea, just on that particular note,
yeah,
multiple people saying the same thing different ways matters.
that's true.
Always, even in trivial, like basic stuff. That movie reviews are that way, or game reviews or something. Like you'll read multiple reviews. The bottom line is, I liked it. The reasons might even be the same, but what they say about it is different, and that gives you sort of reassurance in your stance on something. And I feel like something that important matters when multiple people, even if you're saying essentially the same thing but slightly different ways, I think that matters because it shows unity, it shows comprehension.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that I need to think about that more often. I need to tell myself that more often, that just because someone else is doing something. I mean, I'm kind of not listening to my own advice because I often preach how nothing is original.
That's true.
I've made a video. That's one of my favorite videos I've ever made, is about how nothing is original. Everything's based on something else. Even when we're talking now, I'm talking about like how I inspired others on YouTube, and then I talked about who inspired me. It's like it always goes back to something else. Like Zay Frank, I'm sure, was inspired by someone else. I think a lot of his comedy and his style at the beginning was inspired by The Daily Show. I think it was a little bit like obviously he's getting inspiration from other people too. Sure, he's probably inventing some things too, and he's brilliant, but nothing is purely original. It's got to be inspired by something else.
Everything is a remix.
Yeah. But I lately I haven't even been taking my own advice. I've just been worried about doing the next new thing. I don't, rather than just rehashing what others are doing. And partly I get bored by a lot of things that are on YouTube. Like I see things, I'm like, another video like this, whatever it is, and I'm like, well, that's kind of what I do too. Like, why should I do anything? If I'm bored by it, like, why would I do it? But I mean, if people have been watching me, they've seen me go through a change recently in my style of my channel and everything. That is sort of because of all of this that we're talking about. Like I trying to find my purpose, my reason for making videos. But I think I'm getting over the hump. I think I'm coming. I actually today just finished a video that is actually more like my old style, and it's all scripted out. It's one of my favorites that I've done in a long time. I think it's great.
Is it side note good?
Well, if you want to go on that scale, I don't use that joke, but
I love that joke.
But I think it's in that vein.
Oh, okay.
But it's also got a little bit of what I've been doing currently, the more daily vlog stuff, integrated into it, and I think it's better because of it. Oh, we're taking a picture.
Yes.
Okay, we're taking a picture in a podcast. Click.
Thumbnails, right?
Yeah, that's right. Thumbnails.
I want to start doing that.
And then.
But no, that's great though. That you're figuring that out, because that's one of the things I think that no matter what you do when you create, regardless of your medium, regardless of your motivation and your intent, whether it's for a job, whether it's for individual commercial success, whether it's for personal fulfillment, all those things, whatever. I think one of the hardest things, like you're saying, is to convince yourself that what you're doing is worth it.
Yeah. That wasn't that hard early on for me because I hadn't made a whole lot yet. But now everything I do is similar to everything else, something else I've done because I've done so much, so many videos. I'm not saying that like I'm great. I've done so much. It doesn't mean I'm not saying I've done so many great things. I've just done so many things. And so when I make a joke. I made a joke in the video I made today. I'm not 100% sure. I think I may have made the same joke in another video. I don't know. And I have repeated jokes without realizing it before. But I can't remember. I don't remember all the things that I've done. So, but early on, I was able to be more motivated and excited and feel like what I'm doing matters more. I think I'm getting back to that mindset now. I think it's all just about your attitude and your mindset. It's not necessarily about specifically what you're making. Because like you said, you can make things the same as others make them. It's okay if there's more of the same content out there or similar content. It's gonna inevitably be somewhat different. It's gonna be your voice.
Well, and with that, it actually leads me to the next thing I wanted to talk about, because we, upon occasion, talk about music, but not necessarily always as musicians. So with the idea of everything's a remix, nothing's original, what you do is similar to what other people have done, I remember the first time I read about your band, Driftless Pony Club, that you guys described yourselves as the child of Weezer, the Pixies, and somebody. It was at
Probably
least one other band.
Built to Spill, Modest Mouse.
Modest Mouse, yes. It was at least it was those three. I remember. I think it was on your website or something like that. It was those three.
Yeah.
And it's so funny thinking about most recently, like the past like 4 or 5 years, about how I realized how I describe music to others when it comes to, you're talking with somebody, familiar or not, and you're talking about bands, and you or the other person brings up a band that the other person hasn't heard of. I've learned that more times than not, we're all describing bands as opposed to they are indie rock, they are X, Y, or Z. It's more like, well, have you heard so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so? Like, oh, well, then you'd like them. And I actually think that's kind of really good.
Yeah, well, that's the way it's going because there's so many bands and genres. The idea of a genre is
practically gone.
Yeah, there's just so many. it went from like a handful of genres to like ridiculous combo genres like rap, and hip hop, and then it became like, grindcore, neo funk. Like, the name got longer and longer, and now I think it's more like comparing to other bands.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, and also the same thing goes for YouTube or any because the internet is just expanding everything so much that you can't categorize things conversationally that easily. So it is comparing to other creators, basically.
That's true. No, I definitely think that's the case. I can think of one right now. I can only think of one exception. I know there are tons more, I'm sure, but one exception that I really like that is easy to identify is a band called Caravan Palace, and they are electro swing. And they're a real fun time, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's swing music with not super heavy electronic beats, and man, your stand just does not want to stay in the same spot. Whoa!
Yeah, my microphone stand keeps falling.
Here, let's fix that.
I'm gradually crouching.
There we go.
As it falls.
You mean Quasimodo by the end?
Because I moved it out more so that I could lean back, but I think that's making it.
You could pull the stand in. That'll work too. Yeah. Technical difficulties here on WBX Radio.
We got this. Oh, my leg! Oh!
Craig's dying.
Actually, can we take a break? I have to go to the bathroom.
Sure. All right.
You want to sing a song while I go to the bathroom, or?
Maybe.
I'll sing Strangers in the Night. That's the only part I know.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Do 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 do.
Just do it.
Doesn't it just go down by steps?
I don't know.
Like do 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 do.
Or you could pause it. I don't know.
Yeah, no. We'll just make it a break. Oh, and if the door doesn't close, just pull straight up.
I got it.
All right.
Hopefully the audio is still recording.
It actually is. You can hear it.
Yeah, you hear that?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to keep this part, but...
So, that's innovative. This is innovative internet right here. This is...
Whoa. Oh, God.
I'm going to get another...
Oh, do it. Can you grab me one too, please? The part that I may very well keep, if you haven't had Founders Porter Dark Rich Sexy. Founders Porter Dark Rich Sexy. It's an excellent porter. It's got, like many porters, a little bit of a chocolate hue to it. Whoa. Dying.
Have you had this before?
I have not. This is really good.
I brought it.
Are these
to the
non-twist?
studio. I think they are, but I have an opener.
Oh, you do? Okay, because I was going to say I have a drop catch on my fridge.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh,
That's
no.
one that's holding the...
I could have used it.
Sorry. Oh, you have the cool wallet one?
I do.
Fuck yeah.
Where is it? Oh, yeah.
I've got one from Honey Butter Fried Chicken.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's good. It's nice. It fits in my keychain.
Honey Butter Fried Chicken. Check them out if you're in the Chicago area.
Oh my God, so good.
Great food.
Not gonna lie, little expensive. It's on the pricier side.
Yeah.
But it is some seriously high quality food. Nothing about that experience was bad for me. It's really great service, great food, tasty as hell. It's actually down the street from me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, now they know where you live.
He lives approximately down the street from Honey Butter Fried Chicken in no particular direction.
But it's a street.
All right, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about music, and again, so I'm going to circle back to another point again about intent. I recently sort of discovered for the sort of stuff that I'm writing, I really love anything that could be deemed cinematic, anything that sounds like it belongs to a soundtrack. That doesn't necessarily mean orchestral elements, but for me, in large part does. I love the use of string sections and horn and woodwind and everything. I recently sort of discovered, like you're talking about, like you wonder why you do something for so long, and then you figure out, what the hell am I doing? I've been playing guitar since I was 8. I'm just barely not. I'm gonna be 25 in 3 days, so I've been playing guitar for a long time, and have been
You're a
playing.
youngin'.
Yeah, I know. I'm a youngin. I ain't nothing. I don't know nothing. But no, so when you start, it turns into I just want to be not terrible at it. And then it turns into, well, I want to learn this song that I really like. And then I want to learn other songs that I really like. And for people who get past that hump, it turns into I want to write my own music. And at that point, it tends to be you write whatever you sort of like to listen to, which is great. There's actually nothing wrong with that. Like we were talking about, so many individual musicians, duos, trios, bands, whatever, have done things because they listened to so much of so and so, and they said, because I listened to them, I was inspired.
Yeah, I think it's very, very unlikely for whatever great musician, insert great musician here, it's very unlikely they didn't start by just rehashing music they like, basically.
Right. And I personally think there's nothing wrong with that. I actually think that's a good launch point. And I sort of recently discovered, for the longest, I didn't really know why I wanted to write music. It was just, I sort of like, it was an assumption of myself. I just always did it. I was always doing it. And then I one day realized I loved the feeling that I got from, like, I sort of explicitly realized with myself, I love the feeling that I get in listening to a soundtrack that I really like. My particular favorite is of a documentary of people climbing Mount Everest in the 90s. The soundtrack itself is called Everest, and was written in large part by George Harrison.
The documentary is called Everest.
It is.
Right, yes.
And so is the soundtrack. It's just, Everest.
The mountain's called Everest as well.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Good.
I know things.
And I just, I love what that album did for me when I was a kid. It helped me not stress out over tests and all sorts of other things. And I sort of realized that I want to create a similar experience for people, that they could visualize things, nothing specific necessarily, but that they would have this neat and great experience in listening to whatever it is that I'm making. And that has been, for me, has been a huge help in sort of driving how I want to design my sound. So I'm curious, influence aside, how have you everybody who's a part of Driftless Pony Club, when Nate was still around, and Matt and Sam and everybody, how have you guys decided as musicians what sort of stuff you want to write? Because you've had the really great stuff like your concept album that's all about Buckminster Fuller, and your other stuff that's just kind of cool, interesting storytelling stuff like Noah's Ark, or There Were Buffalo on the Ark, and other things. What sort of motivates you guys to make exactly the stuff that you make?
Oh, well, that's complicated because we all... The songwriting process of our band is interesting. It's a several part answer, I guess. Like the way the band itself writes the song is, I think we all have an idea in mind about what makes a good song. Each individually we do, and then we come together and we just argue over it until we come to a conclusion. And that's what the sound, whatever sound Driftless Pony Club is, that's how it came about. So like one member will write us. We've all written songs for the band, or at least parts of songs. And one member will write a song on their own, bring it to the band, and then introduce it, and then everyone will just jam on it for a while, just practice it for a while, and then argue about it, and then write a song. That's the way we used to do it. But now we don't even live in the same town anymore, and so the newest album is just all Matt. Matt wrote all the songs.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We had input, but it's much less of a collaborative, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm really happy with the result. I think I like to think that it wouldn't been so good if you hadn't been in Driftless Pony Club for so long. but well,
because he knows your sound, he knows how, like you said, how you guys normally function, and what you guys also don't want to sound like, which is equally important. The sort of stuff that you don't want to do.
Right. We've all been making music together for so long that I think any one of us, if we really had the time and put our minds to it, could write an album, a Driftless Pony Club album by ourselves, probably. But Matt did a damn good job with the new one. So where was I going with that? Okay, so me personally writing a song. That's I haven't written a lot of songs in a while. Like I've written a few for Buckminster. I wrote a few for Magnificent. I didn't write any for the new one. But those were sort of the way I write is sort of I'll jam on a guitar for a while until I come up with a riff that I like or a chorus or something I think will be a chorus, and then I will try to fill in the blanks. I wrote Pluto versus Neptune. That's a Driftless Pony Club song. That one, I remember coming up with that riff in practice. We were just jamming. We were just playing random music, and like I came up with that riff, and I was like, yeah, I really like that. And Sam came up with a bass part at the same time. And that ended up being in the final, like the verse of the song.
I've done the exact same thing, and I love it when that happens. It's a beautiful feeling.
But I just remembered that from practice. I was like, that is something that's good. I will make that a song. So then I worked on that probably for a month or two, just like it takes me a lot longer to write a song than it takes Matt to write a song. Matt's much more prolific with writing songs and writing stories. Like he's written a couple novels, or at least half novels. But
really?
Yeah, he writes things all the time.
Because I know that he wrote
they're not published. There's just things that he's written.
Oh, okay. Because I know that he wrote that one thing about Superman being raised by wolves, which was really cool.
Well, he writes short stories all the time. I think eventually he will start publishing that. Well,
he should.
That's my theory. But so he's more prolific of a writer in that way. Writing a song takes me a while. Takes me a long time. I agonize over every lyric, every line, every moment, like in a way that I think is not productive. I think I somehow was able to switch my mind off, that part of my brain off, when making YouTube videos. I'm able to be prolific with YouTube videos. I'm able to see. I think it's about seeing the end result, understanding what the end result is, and just working towards that. Whereas when I'm writing a song, it's like there is no, it's all, I'm in a void. I'm in a cosmic void, and there's no end. It's just every direction all the time. I just grasping for what I like and just trying to piece it together, and it takes me a while.
So is it that you don't feel like when you're writing music that you don't necessarily have a really specific intent for a particular song, that I want it to start, climax and end in this particular way, and that's part of why you find the difficulty?
I think that is it. I think, well, I do have, when I go into a song, I always know which part I like. It's always built off of one part. It almost always, I think, it's like, I like that part. I'm gonna make a song out of this. But I don't know if there's ever been when I have written a lot of songs for WheezyWaiter that are easy, the easiest thing in the world.
Your food pun songs.
Yeah. Well, like all those every song for WheezyWaiter is really easy for me, because I'm just trying to get. It's sort of like I'm just trying to poop a song out. It's just like okay, this song is I have to make people laugh. This is gonna, so it needs a verse, a chorus, maybe another part, and then an end or whatever. Usually it's shorter than that, but it's really easy. Like I'll just doodle on the guitar. That goes with that part. Okay, then that goes with that part. I'm able to just go through it. But for some reason, when I'm doing like a Driftless Pony Club song, or if I just random song, I feel like I need. My brain doesn't want to simplify it in that way. It wants to make it the best possible thing it can be at every moment.
before you have the intent in hand.
And that goes against my own advice, which is like perfectionism is like one of the worst things you can for productivity. When I'm writing a song that's not for WheezyWaiter, I get perfectionist about it. I need to learn how to turn. I've toyed with the idea of or I think about the idea of often of sitting down and writing songs, like with the mindset that they're going to be crappy songs. Sit down and write songs just to get them out. And I don't think they will end up being crappy. I think they'll probably end up being pretty good. I might accidentally make a great one, but
Well, and that's enough. If you write, say you said I want to write 10 songs in 4 days,
yeah,
and you keep one, you
yeah,
got one.
yeah. And I think I could do that. I mean, and I think part of it is because of I'm 35 years old and I've written a lot of songs over many years, so I've gotten pretty good at knowing what you have to do to write a song, and knowing how it feels to just the whole process, how it feels. I know what to expect. So
Disappointment and fear.
yeah, yeah. And so I think experience, practice, you will be able to write average songs pretty easily. I think.
And then with a little more time,
Yeah.
some peer reviewing,
Mm-hmm.
some drop it, leave it alone, come back to it, you can write a great song.
Yeah.
And even then, the other thing that I've learned as a musician is not everything you write just to you, not anyone else's opinion, not anyone else's feedback, whether or not they like it. Not everything as a musician you will create will be great.
Right.
Everyone, even the best, even like the biggest people ever, Radiohead has just okay songs.
Yeah.
You know.
Course. Well, that's why. But it's also like great is relative. As far as like a hit song goes, yeah, there are very few that become hits. That's why the radio plays the same damn music over and over. Well, I don't. There's a lot of reasons why the radio plays the same music over and over, but yeah, I think there's lots of stinkers. There's lots of songs that many would agree are terrible songs that come out that great musicians make, but you don't think about those songs because nobody listens to those songs. So
It's true.
So, and that's why they're called deep cuts. There's a lot of deep cuts or B-sides. Well, there are some great deep cuts and B-sides, but
It's true.
But they're not as accessible. They're not as immediately great. You have to spend time with them. That's another topic. But there's also crappy songs. We were listening to on tour. We were listening to Beach Boys. Oh man, I can't remember which song it was. There was a song that was it was great. Like it was like, oh man, the Beach Boys are great. I think I finally got it on a deeper level than I've ever gotten it before.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't Surfing in the USA.
No, I don't think it was. but that's not a bad song.
No, not at all.
But it was because I just grew up with them just being an oldie band, and like, yeah, they're just old simple songs. But I listened to one of their hits. I can't remember which one it was in the van, and I was like, this song, I get it now. The Beach Boys are great, and I understand it. And then another song came on, another Beach Boys song, and it was terrible. It was god awful. I think it might have been from I don't know if we were listening to Pandora or what we were listening to, but it might have been on an album or something. But it was a Beach Boys song I'd never heard before, and it was terrible. It was just like moaning. It was just like and simple. There was like the previous song had like several awesome harmonies just like throughout the whole thing, and the next song was just like one guy like it was just like one little guitar line, and it was I don't remember what the song was, but then I was like, okay, they're just like every other band. Everyone has crap,
as bad as it sounds. It's just, again, even people that you like or again that are objectively tend to be regarded as really great has blah.
Yeah. So,
and I think that's perfectly fine though, because it's ultimately, to me, I think the reason, like, I occasionally consider, why do we create music? Why do we create sculpture? Why do we do practically anything art related? Because you could argue that it is a non-fundamental aspect of life. It doesn't help you. It doesn't further crop growing methods. It doesn't reduce fuel emissions or whatever. The importance, again, one could argue, lies in inspiration, in emotional stability, in there are all sorts of things. But I feel like even if, whether or not you are aware of it, any one person is aware of what they're making isn't great. I've come to learn that the action of creation, start to finish, is satisfying in a way that nothing else is. and I don't know that ever can be, because it's such a spit. Like it actually bothers me when I know somebody who doesn't have a hobby that isn't productive. Like, a hobby just means something you enjoy doing when you have the time.
Yeah.
So a hobby could be any. Video games are a hobby.
Yeah.
I love video games. I don't.
Well, nowadays it can be a job.
Oh, no, ain't that the truth? And I myself don't. I actually like. I hold a little bit of a high standard when it comes to the definition of a hobby. I don't call video games a hobby. I fully admit that they're basically a waste of time. It's just a form of entertainment. Like, some video games make me think and whatever, and I can appreciate art direction and whatever else. But for the most part, video games are not about like expanding your mind.
Well, I think a lot of people will argue with you on that point.
Oh, no. I don't mean that they're just that. I just mean,
Yeah.
for the most part, it's I'm doing it because I just want to have fun, not for
Yeah.
this personal fulfillment that makes me feel like I'm being this productive human being. But to that point, it actually does bother me when I either meet somebody or know somebody. I have several friends who shall go unnamed, but it just bothers me to think you don't do something with your hands or your mind or something. Even if you just read, I could appreciate the fact that you read your butt off, because you're no, seriously, because you're it's using your imagination, it's expanding your vocabulary, it's learning it's earning the ability to sympathize and empathize with non-existent characters, or if you're reading nonfiction, real people or whatever. Like, I can at least appreciate that, because you're sort of sharpening the whittled point of your mind. There's something to creation, even if it's not great. Like you said, if you're doing it every single day, you're doing what you want to do, and there's nothing better than that. Nothing beats that.
Yeah, I don't know why as I got older I stopped playing video games, or I mean I still play. If you follow my Wheezy Gamer channel, you can tell I don't really play video games. Because I haven't put it up. I'm struggling to put up videos. I'm gonna get back to it, but I think once I started doing WheezyWaiter, and especially, like, I stopped. I like, video games to me are I more enjoy watching a movie or TV now than I do playing video games, because I think, and I'm not saying anything bad about video games. I would say I think video games can achieve the highest levels of art of any equal to any other medium, but and also, like, in a way it is like reading fiction. It can be, if a great video game can be, but for me personally, like, when I play a video game, it's like I'm doing the mechanics. I'm using the parts of my brain that I also use to edit a video, or yet I'm just going through the path that someone else created. Like, I'm just enjoying someone else's creation, but feeling like I'm creating at the same time. And I would rather just create something. I would rather it be my own thing that I'm creating. It's more satisfying. And not that I don't enjoy video. I can enjoy a video game as well, but to me it's more satisfying when it's me creating it. That said, sometimes creating can be a huge chore. It can be really hard. Most of the time, actually, most authors, like, there's an old saying, like, all writers hate to write, or all authors hate to write, or something like that. But they love having written. Like, finishing a project is the best feeling in the world. Today I was just editing a video all day long, and I was like, oh man, I gotta get through this. I used to love that part, like way early on. I used to love that part, but after a while, it
gets taxing.
It is the same thing over and over again. But I finished it, and then I watched it, and I was so happy with what I did. It was like the best feeling. I haven't had that feeling in a little while, probably a few months. And it was good. It was like, yes, I did it. I created a thing. All that work was worth it. That's why we do it, I think. Like, Platoon of Power Squadron, that series, we've been doing it for 7 years or so. It's become like, every episode's become like a feature-length movie. And it is painstaking mostly for Jake, but painstaking for everyone. It's a lot of hours of shooting, a lot of prep, a lot of putting on costumes, a lot of putting yourself in danger sometimes, and for one moment when you finish it and you watch it, but it's worth it
because you have a finished product.
Yeah, the feeling of having done that is totally worth it, I think. Same thing with making our new album. Matt did most of the work on that one, probably. But we were all involved, and it's a long process, and it's a lot of piecing together of various parts. And in the moment, sometimes you question, like, why are we spending so much time on this? Like, let's just move on. Like, what is this going to matter in the end? Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the things you work on don't matter, but you don't really know that in the moment. So you don't really. So you have to give it your all almost all the time to make sure that it's all good.
Quick side note: I really like how dramatic you get when it comes. Your questioning voices are like, "Why are we doing this? And why does this matter?" Like it's so like, oh, it's so dramatic.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. That's the sort of like angst that comes with that. The struggle that you go through to get to the point of finishing. Like I said, like you're questioning what the hell is the point? Why does this matter? What is anybody even gonna like this? Does it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that sort of goes through my mind all the time. As someone who's just creating stuff for a living, and no one's telling me what to do. I'm my own boss, so I have to ask myself, why am I doing this?
Right, and you don't unless you like make it a point to ask people for feedback before you post something or before you even shoot something. Mm-hmm. You don't have anybody to say, well, I see what you're talking about, but that might not be a great idea. Or that's a great idea, but you might want to try it differently. Like that's it.
I have my wife.
You're right. And come on, don't discount Mitzi, okay?
Oh yeah, Mitzi. Good suggestions.
His dog.
like the other day, I was shooting something in the kitchen, and she came up and she was like, burp, burp, burp. She had a good point, so I changed my mind.
So you wrote that down.
Yeah.
Kept it in a glass jar to read forever.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
And
that's how I remembered it today.
It's the sage wisdom of Mitzi.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I actually put it in a jar of sage. So I found that appropriate. So
was it next to your turnip?
No. But wherever the turnip was, it was up. Like the word Craig was up, for sure.
Still up.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, all right. That puts us at just about at time.
Is that the end?
That's about it.
That's
Unless you have something else.
We came full circle there.
We did
with the turnip. That's amazing.
We did. That was good.
Yeah. See, if we created something.
We did it. We just created an hour's worth of talkies.
Yes. Wow.
Which hopefully people will listen to and enjoy upon their drive into work or whatever. Wherever you might enjoy listening to two people talk about stuff.
Wherever it doesn't matter. On the toilet. Next to the toilet.
Buying rutabagas.
Down the hall from the toilet. I'm really everything. I'm only thinking in terms of toilets.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
When you're out buying hardware parts to fix the P trap for the toilet.
Yeah. I maybe it's because I have to go to the bathroom. That's why.
Again.
Yeah.
All right. So that Craig does not does not explode before he gets to the bathroom. We'll bring it to a close. Craig.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Let's shake hands, but let's do it like next to the microphone so they hear it.
So we hear it. All right.
Yeah.
That's what shaking hands sounds like. If you didn't know, now you do.
Now you know.
Thank you all so much for listening. My name is Andrew Sellers.
My name is Craig Sellers. No, wait. Craig Benzine. That's my name.
This has been another episode of The Whole Ball of Wax. Again, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.